Hello, we're here. Another week, another Thursday night live stream. Thank you guys for showing up. It's good to see some folks already here in the chat. Yes, Mike, the countdown has begun or finished now. Good evening, George and Frederick. Good evening, John from Wet, Texas. Not West Texas, but Wet, Texas. I'm probably West too, I don't know. But William, good evening as well. No, I think John's in East Texas. Anyways, Saul, good evening as well. Jeff, good evening. Nice to see you guys here. Thanks for joining another live stream. We got a lot of exciting news to talk about. Not quite as blockbuster as the past couple weeks, but there's a quick update of like the channel and everything. This is one of those weeks, and I've had these before and I'll have these again, where it's a weird feeling because I have been working super hard on a lot of upcoming videos for you, spending a lot of time here working on, just new videos for you, testing at every phase, right? Everything from testing to like reviewing stuff from my editor. And so hopefully if everything goes according to plan, should be getting some early access for members soon, and then a video going live shortly after that, a big Ubiquity themed video, as well as then I have a bunch of other videos I'm working on. It is definitely like an exciting time of year for smart home tech. A lot of cool stuff in the works, but that's all I can say right now. And also just a shameless self-plug before I get too far into the stream. You can go check out my newsletter at ericw.org/newsletter, and I'll be always linking to stuff, especially as we have these really, interesting Techtober, whatever, like all kinds of cool stuff coming out. Always good to stay subscribed over to my free newsletter where you get 3 things from me. Man, I'm signing myself up for extra work. 3 things from me every Sunday. So, it's been going on for a little while now, and I'm really feeling like getting into the flow of doing this newsletter. And then also, of course, we have the new channel memberships. Great to see a bunch of you channel members showing up here to live stream. That gets you bonus content, which I'm also working on some more bonus content, as well as early access to certain videos, depending on, if I'm able to give you early access to something. And next week is our last live stream before IFA, which for those who might not be familiar, it's kind of like the European CES. In the fall in Berlin, there's a big show called IFA. It's a little different than CES, but as far as we're concerned, there's a lot of new product announcements, a lot of exciting new stuff from the smart home companies we all know and love, or maybe not always love, but we know. And so I'm already, talking with a lot of people, setting up different things for that trip. So that should be really exciting. But I like the idea of doing a live stream from somewhere around Berlin in IFA, but I don't know logistically like where that would happen or things, or when also that would happen. So if I do it, I'll try and give everybody like a heads up of when. Obviously, like this time would be terrible because the current time in Berlin right now, is not. It's 3:20 a.m. So, And then, of course, I'm looking at the times of some of these meetings I'm setting up, for things. And it's like I'm at something at a convention center talking to people at like what my body will feel like is like 3 a.m. So I'm bracing for the worst. But want to say hi to some folks in the chat. Got some more folks joining. Rod, nice to see you. Hi, Rod. Hello from Phoenix, Break Time 101, 110 here today. Oh, man. What a day. What a hot day. Hello from South Carolina, Brian. Nice to see you here. Ratchet Gang, hello. Great to have you here. Always a really cool, I don't know, is that like an old It's a cool like artwork that you have there. For it almost looks like an old coin, but like a little different. Lone Star Trent, can't wait to see how Shane's ride to IFA goes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting point. It used to be a cell phone show. Good point, Lone Star Trent. Yeah. I mean, and I think there's still a large part of that. I think as smart home tech has grown, and there's also quite a smart TV and smart appliance section at IFA from what I've understand and what I've seen. So I think that's kind of grown a little bit into smart home tech. Things like robot vacuums are pretty big there. So yeah, that's actually, EcoVax is in part helping me be able to go out to IFA this year because it's a expensive trip. So, yeah. Anyways, I'll be updating you guys more on IFA. I've had a really bumper week, not only with my YouTube channel but also with my primary job during the day. So I have not had a chance to watch Shane's live stream, but now you make me interested about what about his ride to IFA, what that means. So I need to go tune into that at some point soon. But yes, hello Vinny, and hello John from Kentucky. Oh, okay, got it. A nickel, yeah, cool. Thanks, Ratchet. Greetings from Boston, Bill. Thanks for tuning in. It's great to have you here. So, bunch of different news. Let's get to some of it. Starting off with some recent stuff coming today, which is Apple TV had a price, is announced like a price increase. So, here we'll go to the original source, to $12.99 per month, up from $9.99 US per month for Apple TV Plus. And again, this is not the Apple TV app or the Apple TV box. I wouldn't be surprised if the Apple TV box has a price increase later this year, but that's a totally different topic, which we've talked about in the past and we'll talk about in the future, I'm sure. But yeah, Apple TV Plus has been doing a lot of original content, a lot more. I usually don't have time to watch a lot of the streaming service stuff. I spend my TV watching time keeping up with my favorite creators on YouTube and just studying other, what are people doing on YouTube. So I don't really watch a lot of TV Plus myself, except for occasionally like with my wife or other family or friends, I might tune into a show here or there. That said, like I know my wife has really loved a lot of the shows on Apple TV Plus, and we just get the Apple One bundle, which so far I don't think has gotten a price increase with this new price increase for Apple TV, which makes that a little bit better deal, I guess, if you want Apple TV Plus. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys in the chat like Apple TV Plus or not, think this price increase is worth it or not. I can tell you making content is expensive, and I'm sure that's, only multiplies out to Apple's level. Of course, they have the money to fund it, but Apple isn't going to just fund something that continually just loses loads of money, right? They need to be making up their costs with subscriptions. So yeah, that's that. Any thoughts on Apple TV? I like my Apple One subscription. Lone Star Trent. Yeah, I agree. I've been an Apple One subscriber for a while. I tried. There's a little bit of time there where I kind of like optimized more and just went to Apple Music and iCloud. But then now I'm back to just doing Apple One, and it's great. If you use anything beyond just Apple Music and iCloud, I think, or two services at least, then like the rest of it becomes basically free or, no additional cost, because to pay for all of it individually would be more. So, oh yes. And thank you, Bill. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Although you're talking in the chat, you've been a subscriber for at least a minute. That's the free subscription. Oh, cool. I didn't know Caroline will be coming out to Berlin. My wife, speaking of, went with me to CES this past year and is not going to Berlin. And I don't think she's actually going to come out to CES either, just because it's right as the kids are going back to school and there's just a whole lot of logistical things. It was tricky already last year, but now my son's a year older in school and things are getting to be a bigger deal. And so it's just like, it's tough to have all of that happening when both parents are not here. So it's like IFA and CES are like at the beginning of both semesters of the school year. Not ideal timing. Great. I just spilled a bunch of my water. So although I turned on my live stream tonight, and because I was running cable through my ceiling earlier this week, there's like my microphone was just covered in dust from my tiles. So had to clean all that off before I started the stream. So yeah, anyways, we got some interesting news on Nanoleaf and Philips Hue. Not news, I shouldn't say. Some news from Nanoleaf, and then a good review of some Philips Hue related products with regards to TV bias lighting or backlighting. So Nanoleaf has some new updates to their 4D V2. They showed off some of this hardware at CES this past year, so I saw that there. But they now have, like it's coming to market with this ability to being able to handle zigzags. So, and other sort of like unique angles to the screen. I think this, it's a cool idea. I think it's good for Nanoleaf to try and make this more aligned with what the picture is on the screen. I think if someone sees something like liquid glass on their phone and then they see this in a store, they might think that this is exactly like how liquid glass, especially in like a frosted mode or something, kind of like refracts the light behind it in cool ways. And if you've tried these kinds of things in the past, it's not quite that way. It's kind of, just doesn't really refract the light in the same way. And so I think being able to show diagonal lines and stuff, it's a good step forward. So I've not tried this myself. I don't know. We'll see if I try it or not. I always try and keep an open mind about this stuff because I know a lot of folks, a lot of you guys out there, you can let me know in the comments, like if you like these kinds of lights around your TV, maybe you have them. I've most recently tried the Govee ones in my Dream Nintendo Switch setup video. And it's great in a lot of ways. And like, I love the like Govee and Philips Hue, they have these boxes that connect through HDMI, and to get the signal with the Nanoleaf one, you have to have a little sensor camera on looking down at your TV to sense the color. And so I think the box concept, I like that better, but I mean, it's much pricier to get into those systems. But I don't know, it just never, the annoyance of having to keep it maintained and making sure it's on and works well and everything else is just, I find more trouble than I think the feature's actually worth to me. So I end up oftentimes like I'll try it with an open mind, trying to say, okay, maybe this time it will click with me. And I'm always excited about it when the product's new, but it never really ends up being something that actually sticks in my smart home. So I don't know. Just some thoughts if you're thinking about, Nanoleaf V2 4D V2 looks cool. I think it does too, but just know that that's kind of has been my thoughts on that, and why I might not review 4D V2 unless you guys really want to see me give it a shot, because maybe this will be the one that actually convinces me that it's a cool thing. That's a good point, by the way, on Apple TV Plus. I'm not the world's foremost cinematic expert, as you can probably tell by watching my YouTube channel. I'm maybe even a little overexposed right now. Apple TV Plus content is very well done. from a technical side. And I'm excited to see where it goes. And I think it's one of those things, as much as a lot of Apple services can make people who think like, wait, a computer company is now doing this? Like what? But I really see something like their content arm, almost like how Sony's had Sony Pictures for years. I can see how it kind of fits with the bigger vision of Apple and allows them to make content in cool ways that they might not be able to otherwise, and make things that fit, like their whole ability to integrate with the TV app in various ways. So their content works great in the TV app, and you can see who the movie stars are in the shots and stuff in some cool ways. And, doing the Apple Vision Pro immersive content as much as they could, should, would do more of that. It's like good on them for having all these relationships in Hollywood and probably other places to make that happen. Although one of the guys who led that just left for Paramount Plus, I saw today. So I don't know. Yeah, well, and that's another good point. Lone Star Trent brings up Nanoleaf's reliability issues. I have seen, my experience with Nanoleaf is that it's kind of a roll of the dice in terms of reliability. A lot of their newer products I've found are more reliable than past products. It's like something I bought from them, let's say 3-4 years ago. I think they've enhanced a lot of their hardware quality control and software quality and stuff over the years. So I think they're doing a really great job moving that forward and hearing, I think, feedback from a lot of people of stuff not working reliably, but I wouldn't say it's perfect. There are definitely certain Nanoleaf things like my backyard string lights that are working great, but then other things like their Matter light bulbs or the their little light switch with their Lightwave technology, both of those didn't really work super reliably for me, especially when you compare them to something like my favorite for Philips Hue, the Lutron Aurora dimmer, that then talks to Philips Hue lights. It's a Friends of Hue product, has nothing to do with Lutron Caseta. And it's just, I mentioned it ages ago in my Philips Hue video and other places. That thing like just controls Philips Hue lights like super fast. And I think it's kind of a gold standard. And I don't see this working that glued to the light where I turn it and then boom, it's changing. I know that's what Nanoleaf is trying to get to with their whole Lightwave system. And I think they can get there. I just think version 1.0 wasn't quite what it could be. But speaking of Philips Hue, we talked a lot about them last week when they had their big leak. So if you're curious on that, you can go watch that stream. Or, Philips Hue didn't have the leak, but someone, I guess, figured out how to get some content off their website that was not intended for public display. But this is a great review by John Voorhees of a product that's not brand new, I don't think. I thought I remember seeing this announced earlier this year. But these are a new concept in the sort of TV bias lighting arena, which are these backlights that splash the wall with color. And you can connect these up to a Philips Hue sync box. And that will then give you the backlighting effect. So yeah, it's I think another cool step forward for Philips Hue, and something where it's just I like John's content over at Mac Stories. He does a lot of great writing, and so I just wanted to highlight this as if you're into smart home tech. I think Mac Stories has a lot of great articles on all kinds of Apple automation and stuff, but just nice to see them sometimes cover smart home tech. And I thought this was a good synopsis of these new wall washer lights is the proper name for them. And I haven't seen a lot of coverage of these particular lights from Hue around like YouTube and other places. So just want to call it out here. Speaking of people, actually former Mac Stories writer who has some really great thoughts on a lot of things Apple recently, or not recently, for years, Ryan Christoffel. And he made some really good points about the rumors around the Apple Watch Ultra 3, which is supposed to be coming this fall, pretty soon, actually, with the Apple September event probably being just around the corner. Some things that will make him an Apple Watch Ultra user, which he's not currently. It's just having a bigger screen than ever before. Seems like a really nice thing. So it's, 422 by 514 resolution. That was one thing I was kind of meh on the Apple Watch at first myself. The Apple Watch Ultra myself, I when it was first announced. And then I remember vividly going to Best Buy for something else shortly after the Apple Watch Ultra was announced and seeing the screen and just seeing like how good it looked. And I was like, oh, I got to have this. And that's what sold me on it. And then, shortly thereafter, I bought the first generation Apple Watch Ultra. It's been my Apple Watch ever since. So, I think this will maybe have the same effect for people when they see this even bigger screen now with the Apple Watch Ultra 3, might push people over the edge. The other one is just the Ultra exclusive watch faces. So I think this is another thing. As an Apple Watch Ultra user myself now, I do like all the information you can get on that screen. And then, of course, I think the other feature that is really key here to add, my own thoughts is just the action button. I love having the action button and being able to, I have my shortcut, as I've mentioned in other places. My shortcut for the action button is you run a shortcut in the Shortcuts app that just sends my wife a text that says leaving now. And she will understand the context of, what leaving now means. But it's nice when I'm leaving a particular place from an errand or from the office or the gym or whatever else, like I can just send that and then she knows that and it's fast for me to do. So that's always a nice thing. It's just having the action button. You could program to any kind of shortcut you want, or there's some other pre-built functions around starting workouts and stuff. But I don't know if you guys in the chat like the Apple Watch Ultra, are just not into Apple Watch at all, or like prefer a normal Apple Watch over an Ultra. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, or in the I guess it's the chat comments, whatever it's called on the live stream. Yeah, what do you think of the Apple Watch Ultra series in general? Okay, yeah. So build, good thoughts on. All right, so let's see. Yes, and it's good to see George back on YouTube as well. I saw him earlier in the chat. Just wanted to mention he's back on YouTube. So, good to have you back on YouTube, George. There's been some chatter on that in the chat. Lone Star Trent, I love my Ultra 2, my newer hearing aid. Oh, cool. That's a cool feature. Hearing aids working with the Apple Watch Ultra. Nice. Ultra 2. Cool. Garmin Watch. Got a Garmin Watch fan. I know a couple people in my real life friends who use Garmin watches and swear by them, especially people who love running long distances. They can be really nice. Obviously not as integrated in the Apple world, but I wish Apple would make, and I've heard Mike Hurley on the Relay FM network talk about this before. I wish Apple would make some kind of a fitness tracker that's not an Apple Watch. So it could be some kind of bracelet or smart ring. I don't really like wearing rings a lot, so I wouldn't be as into a ring per se. I mean, I have my wedding ring, but right now I'm just wearing a silicone one because it's easier that way. But, just something that's not a watch, because I think there's plenty of people who would like Apple's activity stuff, and Apple could sell them Apple Fitness Plus and more services and stuff, right? New video tomorrow from George. Great. You heard it here first, or maybe not first, but yes, new video tomorrow. So that's exciting. So back to the Apple Watch fitness tracker. I just think getting people more than just putting an iPhone in your pocket to track your steps, giving the heart rate monitoring and maybe some other stuff in some kind of a tracker that's not a watch. I would love to see Apple do that, especially if they're looking to like grow that part of their market, but who knows if they'll actually do that. A good question. Then we'll get back to some more news. Debating whether to get the Abode Security Hub or just stick with a DIY Aqara products and Slage Code lock. All right. I would say if you're looking for a security system, I know there's I've seen other videos online about DIY security systems with a car, and it is certainly possible, and it's something I have not tested fully myself, but it is, I don't know, probably a video you might see me do sometime down the road. I like the polish of having a security system that's maintained by a company that's putting it all together. So I really like Abode. One of the things that's, there's just a lot of cool details with Abode that like you could do with something like Aqara, but it's just easier when it's all done for you. Like, for example, in my goodnight shortcut, I have Abode arm the system away. And one of the nice details is that it will alert you if a door is open, which can be really nice. So then that door is open. And often, for me, it's often like the sliding back deck door was left like that much open, right? So it's not like even something you might not catch visually just by walking up the stairs, but then I go back down, I shut it, I make sure it's locked, and then I can secure my system. And that's nice because it will alert you in the middle of running the shortcut, even when you're running it from Control Center, right? So I'm getting ready for bed, I swipe down on Control Center, I hit my goodnight button, which in Control Center, which does my shortcut. And one of those things it checks is all the doors as it's arming the Abode system for stay or home. So it's just a little polish like that where you could have a step in your shortcut to like, is this contact sensor closed? If not, say, alert the user and exit the shortcut, right? Like you could do something like that for Aqara systems, but just those kinds of little details, having a system put together like that. I do really like a lot of Aqara smart locks. The Slage Code Plus lock could be good. I think you can't go wrong with the smart lock. There's a lot of really good options now and probably in the future, I'm sure, too. A lot of exciting options. Maybe we'll hear about more of them around IFA. That's all I really say on that topic. I think I like the polish of a off-the-shelf security system, and Abode is really the only one that talks to Apple Home. So oh, cool. Bulldog said they're still going to be in the gate lock market. Cool. Here's from SAW 1104. I like Abode too. It just works well, pretty effortlessly, and integrates with Apple. Oh, nice. Into Home Assistant. Cool. As well as, yes, the HomeKit support that I mentioned. That's cool. I actually haven't had a reason to tie it into my Home Assistant setup, but that is really good to hear that it does. The thing that's nice about a security system in general is that even if you're not, let's say, in an area where, or regardless of your preferences for home security, right? I would argue a lot of more places than you might think you would want to have a security system, but that's a separate discussion. But regardless of that, having a security system can create a bunch of trigger events for home automations that are very helpful, right? When you arm your home at night, that means most likely you're going for stay mode or whatever. That means you're going to sleep and all the doors are shut, and like there's a lot of things you can assume based on that with your home. Like, oh, maybe these particular whole set of lights on this floor should be turned off or whatever else. Or on the flip side, like if you arm your home away, or in Apple Home, you really can't automate based on home or away. Arming, you can just do arm. So I do usually like if it's armed during the daytime, then run the robot vacuum or something else, because like, well, everybody's away from home, and you also may or may not like arm the system for a quick trip just down to your neighbor's house, right? Where you wouldn't really want the vacuum to run because I'm going to be back in 5 minutes, but my phone auto leaving the home automations would kick in, and then I'd come back to the home and like a bunch of stuff would be set in ways that I don't want because I was just down the street talking to a neighbor, right? So there can be sort of like ways that arming a security system can get around some edge cases of going to and leaving the home or going to sleep for automations. It can be really nice. So just something to keep in mind as you're considering a security system, and do I want it in Apple Home or Home Assistant or whatever else? So oh yeah, that's a good point, Holland Tech. The Ultra 3 is supposed to support 5G over the Ultra 2. That, I wonder how that would, because 5G isn't known for like busting through walls, I don't think, although 5G is like a huge umbrella of a lot of technologies. But I know the cell connectivity, in my experience, on the Ultra or just Apple Watches in general is always not as good as a phone. And so maybe as they upgrade the cell connectivity, if that's a big deal to you, like it's nice to be able to go for a run with just your watch, right? There can be any number of scenarios where you might want cell connectivity on your watch, and that could be a reason to upgrade as well if you're big into that. Yes, I love the battery life in the Ultra. Now, mine does not need to be charging. It just, I left it on the stand and I was doing other things and then started the stream. So I don't have my Apple Watch Ultra on me right now. It's charging upstairs, but I don't need to be right now. It can last for a long time. All right, so we got some more news, and then want to get to some more discussion in the chat. Let's go to... this was one, doesn't directly apply too much to smart home tech, but kind of Apple related, and I just wanted to mention it as something you might be interested in, just as far as the march of technology forward. That this OWC Express new drive is 6,000 megabits per second because of the new SSD speeds it can get, which is basically the NVMe M2 SSDs is I think. Oh yeah. So it's basically the same as the SSDs that Apple puts in their computers. So it gets pretty expensive. I think a 2 terabyte one of these is $500 with the 2 terabytes installed from OWC. But I like OWC, MacSales.com. As far as when you look at a world map, OWC is pretty close to me. They're just up in Crystal Lake, Illinois, or Woodstock, Illinois, sorry, northwest of Crystal Lake. Anyways, so yeah, Illinois, vaguely Chicago area company. Just wanted to call it out there. Which, by the way, speaking of Chicago area, I feel like I should have my Chicago area street cred taken away from me. There was someone last couple of times ago who mentioned they were in Lakeview, and for some reason in my head in the live stream I thought that was a suburb, and it's not. It's Lakeview is a part of the city, so I don't know what I was thinking there, and I know that. I actually work with someone pretty much every day at work who lives in Lakeview, so yeah, anyways. Sometimes it's hard to keep your wits about you in these live streams. There's just a lot going on. So with the Google event, Google is joining the bandwagon of AI in the home. And JP2E over at The Verge had a whole article this week about Gemini for home and the different things it can do. So I don't know. We talked a lot about the ALEXA Plus system, and I have that upstairs in my kitchen. I will say my favorite feature of ALEXA Plus, which I'm sure Gemini and Google will be very good at as well, is asking random childhood questions. So, I have 2 4-year-olds and a 6-year-old, and with their questions, why is this way? What's going on with this? Can this ever happen? Whatever it is. And it's good to have those conversations with your kids, right? Like, I like doing that to a certain degree, but sometimes it can just get to be incessant. And so it's really nice to, you just, once you ask the Echo, screen and see what it says. And a lot of time, the answers are pretty good, especially, a lot of general science questions about things like bugs or, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. But it can be, oh, my hair is messed up, but it can be a good source for that kind of general knowledge. And even if you don't have little kids, but just like, it's way better at general knowledge questions than the current batch of voice assistants, especially that from Apple. But yeah, so Gemini in the home, I think it'll be really nice to have another AI. Can't wait for Apple to have their new stuff, maybe spring of next year. So I'm going to, if you're watching this after the fact, I'm going to put all the links to these things in the show notes, except, unfortunately, I have not found a version of this I can share with you, like from a link, right? But this is from an email as someone who bought a Flick with my own money, just as a normal customer. I got this email. So this is the Flick Duo, which Flick announced at CES this year, and they did pre-orders. So I want to say it was like April of this year, this year, right? It's 2025. It's still the same year, but it's still going through the certification process, and they're gonna start mass production soon. So we estimate to finalize the verification checks on their improvements in the next 1 to 2 weeks, and this was sent earlier this week. And then so they're they're not committing to when mass production is supposed to begin, but I'm hoping it's going to be sometime soon this year. So hopefully that means we'll start to get these shipping before the end of the year. Making hardware is hard, I'm sure. So wishing the Flick team all the best. Maybe we'll hear some more from Flick around IFA. But I haven't looked to see if they have a booth there or not. But yeah, so Flick and their little buttons. So the other cool things, by the way, to keep in mind, if you're looking at this and like, why would I want a 2-button button, right? First of all, it does give you some more options to have 2 physical buttons on the thing, but also there's some cool things Flick has done where you can turn it. And so, they have a bunch of sensors in it where you can like press and hold a button and then turn, and you could have it adjust the brightness of a light or something. So some more power user kind of clever things where you'd quickly pull it off the magnet on the wall and then do that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I'm always a little partial to Flick, given that I'm of Swedish heritage mostly, and they are a Swedish company, so I always think that's cool. But yeah, it's good to see them moving along. Just wanted to mention it to you guys because I've heard people talk about in the past, like, where is the Flick Duo, right? Like, what happened to it? And I was wondering the same thing. So we have some more stuff on the HomePod Mini to get to, but I want to say hi to some more folks in the chat. We got Edgar's Home Tech here, another smart home YouTuber. Great to see you here, Edgar. Looking forward to that big smart home dinner and stuff again at CES this year. Let's see. So, oh, cool. You're in nice in Indiana, but yeah, Chicago area, Gurney, represent. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're in Kentucky. Yes. I just see in and I was thinking Indiana, but yeah. Okay, cool. Nice, Scott. Thanks for joining. Good to have you here. Yeah, I agree. Lone Star Trend. It sounds like Flick probably put out their pre-orders a little too optimistically. It almost sounds like a Kickstarter situation where they needed some working capital to actually make the thing, right? But it was an actual pre-order. It wasn't a Kickstarter. So we'll see. This was, I thought, a quick, nice summary. Now, this was not posted this week, but I don't think we got to this last week, and I just wanted to bring it up as it's a nice little summary of like, oh, so there's a new HomePod Mini expected in the fall. Like, what does that mean, right? So it might have some of the Siri improvements, but just keep in mind it's not expected to be Apple Intelligence based. There's a chance that the new Apple TV might be that way. Again, see rumors about adaptive temperature and some other stuff. But yeah, probably not Apple Intelligence, but it is going to get a new chip, system on a chip from the watch. Did I talk about this last week? Because this picture looks very familiar. Oddly familiar, like I talked about it on the last live stream. It's sometimes I might have clicked that button in Notion to mark it that I talked about this. Yeah, I did talk about this. Yeah, because we talked about the sound quality. Okay, never mind. Yeah, it was an article from last week, but I thought we didn't get to it, but we did. So, my bad. Yeah, some funny conversations going on between you guys in the chat about all kinds of stuff. All right. So I've been having some more fun with my 3D printer. It is quite the adventure. I haven't been spending like a lot of time with it, but because I've had a lot of other smart home projects and YouTube stuff going on. But it is one of those things that like you can just kind of leave running, right? Now go to the co-working space or off to company office or whatever, and I will just leave it running, doing something during the day. It's a nice use case for a indoor camera because I can then see a live view. I've paused the 3D printer for this live stream because it's like just next to me, and I don't want to like, I don't know, like it's kind of distracting and noisy, and maybe there's plastic fumes. I don't know. So I don't generally run it unless the door behind me is open and I have an air purifier running just to keep it all ventilated. And it's right by a window, so if things got really bad, I could just open the window. But I'm trying to see if I have good examples of like some fun stuff I printed. Like there was this model I found for all these Gridfinity organizers. These are my Nikon camera batteries, right? And they just slot right in here into this mold, which is really slick. Yeah, if you're thinking about a 3D printer, research or look into Gridfinity. It's a really cool organization system. And I actually found a really cool, let me pull it up here whoops. This thing has saved me a bunch of time making Gridfinity stuff. Yes. So this website, Gridfinity Generator, is great for creating containers, right? So you can create Gridfinity containers. You can also create base plates here, although I've been doing that in a different website. It's all this open source standard where basically you create these grids, if you're not familiar, and then you create different things that slot into the grids. So then as you open the drawer, all the stuff doesn't just jiggle around. And it's a standardized size, right? So lots of people make things that work with Gridfinity. And then you can, we can design a box here and say, oh, we want it to be this big, and then we want to put a wall on here. And I don't, I'm not a 3D modeling expert, but I can handle these online stuff. And there are ways you can sort of get the 3D model of something and then make a They even have an example of this on their website. Make a cutout, right? So you just rest a tool inside of a box right there. So lots of clever ideas, I think, with Gridfinity. What was the site? I need to find what the site was that I was using for that. What generates my... Yes, so this was the website. And again, I'll put these in the description after the live stream. This is Perplexing Labs Gridfinity. This is what I use to generate my Gridfinity grid for different drawers, right? So you can input the millimeter size of your drawers. And then, of course, it's going to be the standard 42 millimeter grid size. And the thing I really like about this particular Gridfinity generator is chances are it's not what your drawer is not a perfect multiple of 42 millimeter squares. And so it will account for that and add some slack like plastic on the end so that it still fits perfectly. But yeah, so not all generators like take care of that for you. And then basically you just download a bunch of these grids that then you print out, and then these ones, I also love how they're designed to interlock together. Some of the Gridfinity designs use magnets as well, so you could do that and like lock them in. I imagine some of you guys in the chat have already set up Gridfinity with things. Love to hear your experience. Do you like it? Was it too much trouble? A lot of the YouTube videos talk about how long it takes just to do all this stuff. Classic example of a YouTube video thing where it's like someone will say, oh, I'm going to do all my drawers in Gridfinity. And then you get to the, 3/4 of the way through the video and they're like, and I did these 2 drawers and that's it. Right. So, not every drawer I don't think is really meant for this kind of organization, but it is really nice if you have a bunch of odds and ends you want to put nicely in a particular drawer. I plan to do it for more drawers over time. But those 2 websites have been really helpful for me, not knowing much at all about 3D modeling. Between those and the Bamboo Labs Bamboo Studio app on the Mac that then I can send to my printer, it's all been a really nice setup and been working well for me. So, oh, nice. John, great to see you. Another regular stream viewer, attender. You got 3 drawers in my office filled with Gridfinity. Nice. Yeah, it's a cool little system. And it goes to show you like the power of like open standards, right? Because someone or some people, I'm sorry, I should know who, but like I don't know who actually like came up with the idea, but like now it's like this whole thing and like this whole community of people is making all these useful tools to make it happen. Almost like a Home Assistant, it's another open standard more in our space. But yeah, would recommend so far. Only about a week or 2 in, so I can't really have fully formed thoughts. But right now I'm just printing a unicorn for my daughter because my kids still call this thing the toy machine because I've printed random toys for them from it. And so then I end up kind of signing myself up for printing them more toys. I don't love how much plastic, especially plastic waste for multiple color prints that 3D printing generates. Like, I don't love that side from an environmental perspective, but it's fun, and I'm not using like that much plastic, right? But yeah, anyways, it's a whole journey. So we'll see where it all goes. But yeah, cool. Well, we have been going for a while, and I do not, once again, don't have a video to share with you at the end of the stream that you should go watch. But thank you so much for tuning in to my live stream. Great to have you here. Oh, cool. You transferred your Synology. Yeah. Really quick on that. Smart Home Solver had a bunch of videos around his Synology and moving it to a new, more powerful PC. I thought that was really, it's a read over a Smart Home Solver. Great series of videos there, just about, he had it on his second channel first and then his main channel video about it. Great stories and stuff. He's always such a great video maker. Anyways, thanks for tuning into my live stream, and I hope to see you sometime soon in the next video or whatever. So stay tuned. Have a good night.